I think it's really good.
And
I'm not an artist or an art critic, but
the
I
thing
like
is,
the
some people are going to like it, some people are not. Some people don't like conceptual artwork. They like
yeah.
realistic stuff, and that's great. Um, these pieces, or some of the pieces, uh, I finally started selling some of my art.
Yeah.
My friend was a curator, Holly Pushevsky, and she had seen my art, and she said, Tara, I want you to be part of our art showing. It was a collective group of artists, different times, because some of the artwork would fit with certain things, because it was different charities and different themes. So the first night we were there, all the artists were there, and they had food, and they had, refreshments. They had a singer like yourself with a guitar, just kind of a background,
Yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
kind of gentle music like what you do. I know you can do all
I do,
types, but
yeah.
I know you can do that other kind of. I'm going to be like kind of the background, but you
Yeah.
can be the front man
I've
too.
done a lot of that. Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice, a nice guitar, so just a nice gentle voice. And then they had all the art everywhere. And the first one I did was art for Haiti. And how it was set up, and I might get the percentage off, so don't sue me if I get the wrong percentage, but I think this is how we did it. It's just been some years ago. So 20% of the money went to the charity. The rest went to the artist. So it was really a win-win, because the artists, as artists, like I said, starving artists, and talking about my brother too, he didn't go into theater, he went into art. And somebody said, he said, well, I think theater is harder. And they said, art world is just as hard or harder.
Yeah.
It's just hard. The thing about art that's kind of cool is you don't have to be there. Like he had a show, he had
Right.
something in another country, and you can send it over.
Right.
You don't have to personally be there. That's kind of nice. So we had the showing, and I didn't expect anything. I'm not going to sell anything, but it's cool. I got my stuff up. I'm not an artist.
Yeah.
Another thing with art, my brother said you're not supposed to paint the edges as an
Yeah,
artist. You're not supposed to
right.
paint, but he says don't split hairs. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
He goes it's stupid. It's a stupid rule.
Hold on. Hold for
hold for
annoying truck neighbor. He'll probably rev it here before he heads out. Although these mics, that's why I got these. It eliminates most of the ambient noise and just isolates your voice as much as possible. And I got it turned down enough to where it doesn't pick up a lot. No, he's not. He's being nice today. He's
Okay.
really loud
He's-
sometimes.
So is it almost 4? Or is it
Yeah,
3:30?
yeah, 3:30.
Yeah, I'll probably need to
Yeah.
head out in a few
Yeah,
minutes
head
because
out.
we're going
Wrap it up.
somewhere. But no, my brother always said don't paint. In art school, they said don't paint the edges. But he said he thinks it's a silly rule. Same thing with some of the things in theater they tell you to do. It's like, oh, that's a, yes, but that, like I said, there's certain things in theater and in art world, it's like splitting hairs. Like some say you can paint this. He said, do what you want. So that for Art for Haiti was to save the children over there. They were dying of intestinal worms at the time.
It's
So
always a bad.
I sold a painting for $650.
Wow.
And I think it was called My Native American Spirit. It looked like almost like a blanket. And it was that was one that I kind of mapped out on graph paper before I did it. Like
Just freehand.
it was just like it was very integral, like how I did it. I never have done another painting that way. I probably should do that. It was kind of mathematical and like almost,
Geometric.
yeah, it was definitely, there was it was very planned out, yeah. And so what was kind of cool is I was able to then buy a piece of artwork from somebody else to put more money in. I didn't buy something for $650. I bought something, I think it was like $70 or something.
Yeah.
But it's really cool, and I love it. I love the piece because it reminds me of that. And so many other artists. There's pottery and
Have you been to the
sculptures.
Springfield Art Walk?
Yes, yeah. I remember when it first started. Really a lot of fun. I
often
haven't
they
been
do
in a
that.
while, but yeah, a lot of fun. So we sold that. We saved 98,000 children.
Wow.
I've never gone on like a mission trip or anything like that, but doing this made me feel so happy because I started painting because I was kind of not feeling like myself and couldn't verbalize it, like I said,
Yeah.
because I was really down. And my brother told me,
Is it
and through
cathartic for you?
it's
to
like
paint?
my brother was going to go into art therapy because through the colors and just it soothed me, and it's almost like the colors spoke what I was feeling. I couldn't feel verbally,
Right.
like in the red or the pink or the blue. It's like, and just by stroking that, it was just some.
I do that with writing music. Sometimes it'll embody my feelings as I'm writing, and sometimes
Yeah.
when I'm at my lowest is when I write my best
Right.
songs.
I mean, most of my paintings, I don't want to depress people when they buy them, but I mean, a lot of them, but they healed me, like as through the process of painting or putting buttons. I've used buttons and rocks. I even got doll hair, like that curly doll. I put that in there with the not this one.
Yeah.
So when I first started, my first painting was Turtle Reef. And my nickname is Terrapin the Turtle. So I got these little beads, like little round beads, and I put it looked like water and like it looked like coral, and I put some beads in there and dotted around it, and then I put little round ones, and then I put little beads that look like little feet.
Yeah.
But if you looked at it, you might think it's a turtle, you might not. It just was kind of textured.
Right.
And it was like just a little painting. What I noticed is my brother said, you need a little negative space, Tara.
It's too busy.
And I mean, I said, that's like my brain. I don't have enough negative space. I need to get rid of some of those files in my brain. But I started getting bigger canvases so that I could do that.
Yeah.
But he said it's great. And he goes, I'm not being critical. I think that you'd have more fun though if you had. And I don't paint on an easel. I paint flat. I've
yeah?
always painted flat.
Really?
I'm either on the floor painting or I'm at a card table. My brother painted flat most of the time too. With a lot of my stuff, because of the paint that I use, it could drip. Then I have taken canvases that I want to drip. I've used car model paint before.
Oh, yeah.
Like the car, and it's real shiny and metallic. I didn't bring that painting. And after I paint it flat, I shake it.
Okay.
Like
So
if I want, and I have one painting I was extremely angry, and I don't anger. I mean, I kind of try to keep things down. I try to keep, I try to keep positive. But I was like, I just went down in the basement. This is when we had a basement. We don't now. I don't really have an art space right now, so I haven't been able to paint. But I just was shaking that painting, and I was doing all this stuff, and I was kind of painting more like Pollock, like just like splattering it.
Yeah.
And then I thought, this is going to be horrible. It's going to be awful. Next day I went down and looked, and I was like, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And it's most people that see it, I don't tell them about what was going on, or how I was feeling. It's their favorite piece. It's a different look than this. And I do this a lot. I go to a place and I find, those paintings that they're kind of like this, like this.
That was just a background.
Right.
My wife put the clock in
That's
there.
awesome.
It was
So
blank.
I'll buy something like
Texture.
this, and I will incorporate my own art over the top a lot of the time and leave some of it exposed. Also, I found a lot of these, not all of these, but some of these are more affordable than buying a blank canvas. They charge a lot for canvas. Now, my brother stretched his own.
That big.
My brother stretched his own canvas.
Oh, yeah.
My dad does the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And in my family's house and my house, nothing is other than original artwork. Because my dad's an artist, my mom's an artist, my brother's an artist, my cousin's an artist, I'm an artist. Well, I wasn't trained. They went to art. They went to school for art. So but they can do realistic stuff, and I haven't, I'd like to actually take a class to learn to sketch people and stuff like that. Because when I was a little kid, my mom was like, sit still, and she sketched me one day. She's like, now sit really still.
Yeah.
It was really hard. I'm like a little kid.
Yeah.
Can I scratch my cheek? She's like, yeah, but don't move. you know.
Okay.
But I remember she sketched me one day.
My wife is artistic. She designed this whole wall.
So cool.
She
I
loves
love elephants. Yes.
This is the elephant wall.
The
And
elephant
first of all,
wall.
over there is the nautical thing.
And
in
that's create. I mean, she did this clock,
Yeah.
and a lot of people also like. I crochet. A lot of people say that, well, this is art and this is craft. Again, another thing my brother even said, it all, if you
Gray
like it and
area.
you love it and it makes you feel something. And in conceptual art, I say, whatever you see in that painting, that's what it is. I don't, like, I'm not specific. Like, when I do it, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's turning out to look like this or like that. But I don't, those little shapes down at the bottom of this one, I was just sketching, like I always journal, and in my journal I just started kind of doodling, as I say doodling, but I kind of drew some of that, and I thought, that's kind of interesting. I kind of like that. So sometimes I'll just kind of be doodling, and that helps me too. Like if I'm not painting, and I'm kind of having a rough day or whatever, for some reason, something about that pencil and just kind of, and then kind of doing some shapes and, whatever, it helps me. It
Okay,
really does.
let's wrap up with one thought on anything that you have coming up in the future that you want to talk about really quick, because you have to go. So any new things coming down the pike?
No, I was going to tell about how I did cast a couple people. You want me to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
So back in my advertising days, I did a lot of casting, and since then, not even being in it, people come to me when they need somebody. One of the things I used to do were like medical videos, so they'd come to me and have very specific things. We need a woman that is 5'2", that's 300 pounds, that's this. I mean, specific things. Or we need a frail man that's this. And it was interesting. So I get a finder's fee to find these people. I did a lot of those, and I actually was in one. I'm the IBS girl, irritable bowel syndrome. That's me. So if you go to the hospital or a doctor's office, these were videos to show to people that were struggling, because doctors don't always have the best bedside manner. And also it was fun to see it. We were just at a lunch table. I was like, well, I haven't been able to come to lunch lately because this is what I'm doing. And then I'm like, I'm going to have a salad today, but I might be running. We made it kind of fun, and it was a bunch of ladies lunching, and we all were like, oh, and then she's like, oh, girl, I've had trouble with that too. So it was like, just kind of, we made it fun. It made it like normal, And so, and then some of them were different things, and you just made up your kind of improv, basically the whole thing. They gave you a skeleton of what they needed, and then I would work with people. So that was fun to find people, cast people. Again, I'm always better at getting them more money than I just take a small finder's fee. I don't take a percentage, because in our area, taking anything from the actor, it's in a bigger market, they make, I never take from the actor. But usually it's like 10 or 20% they'll take. But I got the opportunity to cast quite a bit too for clients we had, and Kyle Dean Massey, who was in the show Nashville, and also I was in New York and went to the Broadway show Next to Normal, and he wasn't the original young male lead, but he was in it, that he was the new male lead. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Kyle Dean Massey. So I Facebook messaged him, and he's like, oh my gosh, yes, I remember. And so I remember, yeah, of course. And so that
Everyone
was really
starts
cool,
somewhere.
really cool. And it was either his first thing he'd ever done, or maybe his second, maybe he'd done one little thing. Both of these gentlemen, then I cast Andrew Call. So Andrew Call, we went to Chicago, and I already knew he was in Hamilton. So both of these young men went on to do amazing things. But I will say this, every single person I've cast, it doesn't matter if they've become somewhat famous, they're all phenomenal. Like, you've interviewed a lot of people. I mean, there is a wealth of talent in people, and it is being at the right place at the right time, being the right look. But no matter what you're doing, even if you just...
A lot of work involved.
Yeah.
Getting to that point.
Yeah, and I think that even if you just do it on the side and or do community theater. There's amazing community theaters, especially here in Springfield.
Oh, yeah.
Springfield Little Theater is
Springfield.
amazing. Springfield Contemporary
has one,
Theater, Springfield Contemporary Theater, both of those, and yeah, other one, all over. I mean, and
I did a few at Stained Glass Theater.
Yes,
in
yes.
Ozark.
in Ozark, yes,
Yeah.
and then they've got in Branson, they've got I can't remember what they call it.
Oh,
Brock,
Branson Regional
Yeah.
Arts
Council.
Council.
Yeah, I always like think of the initials, and I'm like, okay,
Right.
yeah, because they've really
Several.
amped up and
Yeah.
done some really great stuff, and they get a lot of show people from in town just doing something else. They
Especially
want to do
during the
some
off season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, they do all these, and I just say no matter what, if you enjoy it, go out and do it.
Yeah.
And also got the opportunity to do the table read for Winter's Bones, which was our Winter's Bone. I think it's Winter's Bone, or is it Winter's Bones? I don't know. Winter's Bone. I think it's been a while.
I know a couple of people who were in that.
Yeah, so I did the table read for that, and they were trying to get funding for the movie. These two ladies from New York, they came in town, so I did the table read, and they wanted us to have accents, kind of a regional sound, and the script. I will say this: I went to my grandmother's to go over the script, and she goes, "Tara, I don't think this is very nice," because every other word was F, F, GD, F,
Yeah,
F, F.
I get
You
those
know,
a lot lately for
and
some
so when we went to the table read, we talked to them about the script, and they asked us after we read it what we thought, and I said this area is very faith-based, and even though this person might be a drug runner, they're probably going to church, they probably know all the hymns. Not every person would probably be cussing this much. They might be doing, and they probably have good families, and they have, and it's very. Gosh, this area has a lot of music and a lot of sitting around the porch, picking and singing, and there's a lot of. There might be a lot of bad stuff going on, but there's also this. I think they have maybe these two sides to them. Maybe they're doing this, but they have a good heart, kind of like your Uncle Stanley role.
Yeah.
A beer drinking guy. You went to prison, but you talk about God. You talk about.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what we said to them, and we talked. We don't think every character in any movie too, if all of them are cussing, and so they went back to the drawing board. And had I known how much it was going to change, I mean, they took out a lot of the things, and they shopped the show or the movie. It was Jennifer Lawrence's. I mean, she'd been in
It's her
things,
breakout role.
but it was her. Yeah, she was up for an Oscar that year, an Academy Award, and her career just took off. Man, she's just doing all kinds of things. But when it came time to do the movie, it was cool because when I was a Yes Troop leader at Springfield Little Theater, I did that for one season. One of my kiddos that I cast was the casting director for that movie. And so she called me and she said, are you available? Are you? And I said, I was at Sight and Sound at the time.
Yeah.
And I just, it wasn't going to work out. But I also, when my mamaw said it wasn't very nice, too, I was like, anything my mamaw says isn't very nice, but I'm not going to do it. But I ended up going to the movie, and it was so drastically different. There was only maybe one. Yeah, they cursed and stuff, but it was a beautiful movie. It was so beautiful, and they did the picking and the singing. There were people playing music, and they
So you
kind
had
of
an impact on
yeah.
that,
We
on
all
that
kind of
show.
discussed that because me being from this area, my mama grew up in the Forsyth area where they filmed it, and I just feel like we knew the area. The area that it actually was taking place, I think, was supposed to be somewhere else, some other small town, but it was also another small town in our area.
Rural.
And I just feel like we all were kind of talking about that, and I think they were like, yeah. I mean, they're from New York, and but they also wanted it to be raw and pure and real, and I think they just. It still was a good script, even with the cursing and stuff. It was amazing. It was beautiful. I loved it. But once we talked to them a little bit, they incorporated all of that, and I'm so glad they got the funding, and I'm so glad that it's a beautiful movie. I think it got up for best film as well that year, I
think so.
believe. Yeah.
And
So-
it's too bad that more film companies don't film in Missouri, but it has more to do with not the area or the people, but the tax incentives or the lack of tax incentives.
Right. That show Ozark.
It's filmed in Atlanta.
It's filmed in or wherever it's
Georgia,
yeah.
around
And it's supposed to be Lake of the Ozarks. Now they do have some shots of Lake of the Ozarks,
Yeah.
but it's not filmed there because of that tax thing. I think that's why,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Right.
I'm sure that's why. I don't know. I haven't researched it, but
That's
it's
a
a
big,
bummer.
That's a big part of it.
To me, it's a bummer. It's like, come on, Missouri, let's do this. Let's do
Yeah.
that so we can get some films here. So, so no, I've had a fun time. But you were asking if I had any like things coming down the pipe. I really don't have. I mean, I'm just continuing what I'm doing.
Smoke on the Mountain.
Also, voiceovers, going out there,
Yeah.
kind of trying to get more of that, and then also just letting people know I'm still casting people because I do get calls. The last thing I helped cast was, I've a couple things, but the Branson Airport where my husband works. I've cast 4 different people that they needed, married couples, family. Yeah. So it was nice. It was nice to be able to contact people that I've worked with in the past and weren't really thinking, and they actually use the airport, so it's like they're kind of talking about their things. And Sharon Reed and Robert Reed, they're a married couple. They wanted a certain look and a certain type, and I've done shows with Robert, and I sang in the praise and worship band with them. Sharon and Robert led it, and I got to sing with them, and we've done shows together too, and so they're just so sweet. And so they came and they did that. And then Andy Parks, who I was in, he played my husband at Sight and Sound, and his wife was in the show too, and I just adore both of them, and so was able to cast them and their 2 little girls for the younger family that they wanted. And so that was cool, and then I get calls from other agencies and stuff like, hey, can you find this, can you find that? And to me, that I like that. I really enjoy. I like being on the other side. I love being in shows and I love doing it, but I like teaching, coaching, casting a lot. I like that, and building into people. And I'm starting back teaching some more individual one-on-ones with people, and I love getting them ready for their auditions and things. It's just so much fun, But again, if you want to do this business, do it. Put your heart into it, but just don't get down on yourself. Please don't do that because it'll beat you up and it's not worth it. And just know when it's the right time, it'll be the right time. And if you want to do something in the technical field, when you start doing it like I did all those other things, I really enjoyed stage management. I loved building props. I built a love seat. And I wanted to keep it. I said, can I buy it? I want it. I used a bandsaw. It was so, and they had to stand on it. And my dad went to see that show with me, and he goes, "It's gonna break. Your chair's gonna break." And it didn't break. And they said, "No, you can't have it. It's really good. It's good work." And I was like, I just built a love seat. It was so. I never thought. I was scared to death of that table saw the first time. They're like, "Push down." And I'm like, "Oh no!" And then they told me that I would never get the Makita drill again. I didn't know it was going to be Juliet and Romeo and Juliet, but they had not cast it. They had not posted it. But I was tearing down a set because we were always having shows where we were doing tech, and then we would be in shows, and so we were tearing down a set. And the smaller theater that we had there, and we were supposed to tie our hair back, right? Oh gosh, my technical director, he cussed me up one side and down the other, and he should have. I did not tie my hair back. It was like this, and the drill went into my hair. And so I thought, if I put it on reverse, because there's a reverse on it, And then I'm glad I didn't, but it was smoking and like all
Yeah,
up here.
yeah.
And they got my hair and I was like, why are you, who cares? Like, I'll do a punk edgy thing. Just shave it on one, like, just let's cut it off. But they wanted to use my real hair for Juliet. They didn't want me to be in a
yeah.
wig. And so then I found out later, and that was my first straight show I ever did. And if you're a vocalist, you're better at Shakespeare because that iambic pentameter, there's a rhythm to it. Now, you don't speak it in that rhythm, but as a vocalist, it actually is helpful. And I always read the King James version of the Bible growing up.
I did
And
too.
it's like Shakespeare. I mean, it's
Yeah,
hard.
it's the same time frame, the 1600s.
It's hard for a kid to read that. And my grandma Young in St. Louis, my dad's mom, was like, that's all you can read. That's what you're going to read.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think that was very helpful to me as well, you know?
Got the poetic sound to it.
Yes, very much.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for coming. And if
Aw,
you
thank
have
you.
any questions for Tara, you can email me, or you can put it at the bottom of this video for in the comments, and I'll forward it on to her. Or if you have questions for me, if you want to find her, I'll have her Facebook page right there on the bottom there.
Yeah. Thank you
All
so
right.
much. It was so fun.